I chair the Vermillion River Stewardship. I also chair the Ontario Rivers Alliance, as Naomi said. I do have a passion for the rivers, and they are essential to life. And there are so many threats right now to our fresh water that I'm fully immersed in in protection and advocacy for fresh water. We're very fortunate in Sudbury. We have, I checked the Sudbury website because I didn't know all these facts, but we have 330 lakes in Sudbury area. 112 of them are over 100 hectares. 16.5% of the city's total surface is covered in water. That's pretty incredible. And 4.3% of the city consists of wetlands. Lake Wanabate is the largest freshwater lake in the world. I didn't know that. And we have 28 lake stewardships in this area. And it is a blessing and it's a responsibility as well, because that blessing can turn into a curse if we don't look after our fresh water. It is essential to all life, and it needs to be treated as a commons for all people, all life on the planet, because we can't afford to hoard it or to restrict it, to mess it up, to squander it, because there are so many people right now trying to to make money on our water, and we all have that shared responsibility to ensure that it's still there. It's there for us and for our future generations, and for the rest of the life on the planet. The animals, the plants, the birds. We all need water to live, and it must be the foundation for all of our planning decisions. At the moment, it seems like the dollar is what rules everything, but it has to be our air and our water that we have to protect, because without those, we're in real big trouble. And we have to ensure and work towards our lakes and rivers being drinkable, swimmable, and fishable. Those are the goals that were set by the Lake Ontario Waterkeepers, and so I've picked that up. Many organizations have picked that up, and the benefits we obtain from freshwater, the ecosystem services are huge. The wetlands are a buffer against our climate change problems that we're having, and probably will continue to have, and will continue to intensify. The wetlands cleanse and filter our water, and they're actually a buffer as well against extreme rain and drought events. And it does help to purify our water as well. And the lakes and rivers and creeks, we have several. I know Ramsey Lake, the Vermillion River. We have drinking water intakes on those bodies of water that feed thousands of people their drinking water. And there's so much development pressing in on that fresh water right now. But it sustains our food resources, our wildlife habitat. It supports recreation and tourism, which I think a lot of people don't really think of, but navigation helps us. On the Mississippi River right now, they're very concerned about navigation with the extremely low water levels they've had. Supporting and regulating our services, getting rid of our effluent from our mines and our wastewater treatment plants, and it's also the rivers a source of power production. The threats that our rivers and lakes are experiencing right now is increased resource development. There's a push for job creation, and so the resource pressures on our resources are immense. Mining, forestry, hydroelectric dams are a big challenge on the Vermillion River. There will be 5 if everyone has their way, 6 counting the one that's already there. The paving and infilling of our wetlands, that's a big problem. Residential and agricultural development. Wastewater treatment facilities are a big problem. On the Vermillion alone, there are 9 wastewater treatment plants releasing their effluent. Climate change is another one of the threats. Our water levels are going lower, our flows are going lower on our rivers, but the extreme rain and drought events also create flooding, and as we can see, now in some parts of Ontario and in the Muskokas, they've had major problems with runoff, but it's those extreme rain events that are really difficult, and the extreme droughts. Also, evaporation is another way that we're losing a lot of water through our the heat and extreme exposure. Through the winter time, our lakes, a lot of them aren't freezing anymore properly, and so we're having problems with evaporation as well, and especially the Great Lakes. Increased toxic algae blooms. The Vermillion River has had a few outbreaks, and this last one was all through the winter months. It started in November of last year and went right through to ice breakup this year. So it was a bad one. And then there's the cumulative effects of all of this when you start, because they do have a cumulative impact. And where's the tipping point? We don't know. We just know that now we're starting to see stress-related things happening on our lakes and rivers, and the blue-green algae is a good indication. The erosion of environmental protection, we've had a real push on by our federal and provincial governments to undermine our environmental protection. The Canadian Environmental Assessment Act, the Navigable Waters Protection Act, the Fisheries Act. There have been streamlining of policy and process, streamlining, getting rid of a lot of staff, especially in the science field. And then there's the muzzling of our scientists as well. That is the scariest, I think, of all, because without our scientists, we really won't be able to protect our natural resources, our fresh water. The wastewater treatment plants, Sudbury's, these are just a few facts. Sudbury in 2009, the Eco-Justice Report let us know that Sudbury was the 4th highest offender in Sudbury for releasing untreated and undertreated effluent, wastewater effluent, into our watershed. And like I said, the Vermilion has 9. A lot of our wastewater treatment facilities are primary and secondary. We have no tertiary treatment right now. That's a third sort of process that it would go through. And the Lively Naughton one is due. Jacques Barbeau, our councillor for Ward 2, has really pushed hard for tertiary treatment, and it looks like we're going to get it for the Walden Lively wastewater treatment plant, and that's what we have to push for in all of them now. Chelmsford and Mazilda are about to go through that process, so we need to get involved and make sure, because that costs a lot of money for tertiary treatment. But when we put bums in those council chambers, when the time comes to vote, it's very important that we be there and encourage council to pass those things. So the blue-green algae, in 2011, there were 32 incidences of blue-green algae reported in Ontario, and 9 of those were in Sudbury. Now we do have maybe more lakes than any other area, but it's something to take seriously. And you should really get familiar to know what blue-green algae looks like. I don't know if that picture shows it really well, but it is very distinctive. And it's very toxic. And so a lot of the lakes now and rivers are starting to have problems with it. 2 minutes, okay. And Ella Lake, like I said, it was all through the winter, this last winter. And what is VRS doing about it, Vermillion River Stewardship? We just got a $103,000 grant to start a water quality study. It's the Lower Vermilion Water Quality Monitoring Study. And we will be starting above cliffs and going all the way out to the Spanish River. But we want to get a baseline so that we know. When we got our blue-green algae outbreak in 2011, we went into action and started the process of applying for this grant, and we were awarded it. And so it was because of that we knew we had to get a baseline with all this development coming. But we have to we want to identify all the negative inputs and outputs, and a course of action after. It's a 2-year study. We'll be doing 336 water samples, 9 sediment samples, 280 phytoplankton, that's to do with the blue-green algae, and we'll have a final report in 2015. And we have partners in our study. Conservation Sudbury will be supplying us with a few technicians, and they've been excellent. We chose the best partners. And also the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, they're blue-green algae experts they found me through tweeting. They are partnering also. They're going to be doing the phytoplankton samples, and they're doing them for free for us. It'll be a master's thesis that will be completed at the end of this. We have 11 lake partners that are going to be driving boating our technicians out onto the water, and 3 VRS or 5 VRS volunteers as well. And what you can do, you can get involved, join or support a local stewardship, educate yourself on environmental issues, because they're very important, and remedies. They're very important to you and to your families and our future generations. Buy phosphorus-free products, support tertiary treatment in wastewater treatment facilities. Ensure, if you have septic systems, that they're regularly inspected and maintained. And question development that threatens our fresh water. Ensure there are proper natural buffers along shorelines, and share your concerns with your counselors. They're there to serve us, and they don't know if we don't tell them what the problem is, and they appreciate hearing from from the people in the community. And ensure that watershed studies are being done. On May 14th, Council will be voting on a motion to do a watershed study whenever there is development that's going to impact on a water body, and that's a very important motion. And so we encourage everybody to get their bums in those seats on May 14th, and call your counselor, your ward counselor, and let them know it's important to you. And also, if you see people doing things, releasing things into the water bodies, report it to MOE, or doing something that is going to damage the riverine or the water ecosystem, report it. I think that's it. Yes. So, thank you.